Alright, welcome to the video, and in this video I want to talk about fonts for your resume or CV, and there's many different fonts out there, and depending on which font you choose to use for your resume, it may look professional and clean cut, or it may be very difficult to read and it just takes up a lot of space. And so I want to talk about some of the elements of good resume or CV fonts. I'll also share with you 5 examples of some of the best fonts using examples with sections on the resume, and also be sharing with you some of the worst resume fonts. I'm Professor Job Offer, and I've spent the last 10 years with a number of Forbes Global 2000 companies, and I'm here to share with you my tips and tricks on landing your next job offer. So let's dive right in with elements or the characteristics of some of the good resume fonts. Well, first and foremost, good resume fonts are ATS friendly, and if you're wondering what an ATS is, it stands for the Applicant Tracking System, and good fonts allow the Applicant Tracking System, which is used by most of the companies nowadays, to scan and recognize your resume, and we call that the parsing. And how critical is this? Well, according to JobScan, ATS is used by most of the Fortune 500 companies, about 99% of them to be exact, and it is usually the first hurdle of your job application. So if it does not scan properly, if the ATS does not recognize, then you may actually get knocked out even before it makes it to a real human. So if you want to learn more about the ATS, I actually have a whole video on that, so feel free to go check that out afterwards. And good resume font is also easy to read. What do we mean by easy to read? Well, it means the font is clear, so it's not round. And we'll show you some examples of round fonts. And there's appropriate spacing between the letters and between the lines. Of course, with margins, you can kind of adjust the line spacing. But yeah, well, that's what a good resume font has, and I'll show you examples of those. And third, good resume fonts are space efficient. And this is kind of related to the point that I mentioned just before. And because of how the fonts are designed, it is able to, good resume fonts are better able to portray more of the useful information in the same amount of space. And that means you're able to better appeal your skills, experiences, competencies, and knowledge in that same 1 or 2 page resume page limit. So let's take a look at some of the best fonts to use, starting with Arial. And with using Arial, your education section could look like this. You can see spacing is appropriate, bolding is very clear, and easy to read. And if it's a work experience section, it's like as a barista or at a coffee shop, it can look like this using Arial. And if you're wondering how to highlight your coffee shop experience in your resume like that, where I take you through line by line, literally how and what to write on each line, I actually have a whole video on that. So, and it may be a challenging step to figure out, how and what to write in each of the bullet points, but I have a video that takes you through all that. So feel free to go take a look at that afterwards as well. Another great resume font is Calibri. I personally like this font because it's more space efficient than many other ones, so it gives me more opportunities to appeal my skills, experience, knowledge, and competencies in it. So same thing with education. It's the exact same piece of information I shared earlier, but using Calibri, it looks like that. Okay. Third best, not third best, but another great resume font is Tahoma. We may not be as familiar with this font, but as you can see here, it also is very clean cut, easy to read, professional, bold is clear, and for the education section and for work experience section. Feel free to always pause the video. I'm just going to go through them pretty quick. And Times New Roman, one of the original default fonts for the Microsoft Office document, for the Word document. And some people say it's a boring font, it's outdated, and but one thing's for sure, because of how widely it was used, it is definitely ATS friendly. So you can never really go wrong with ATS parsing on this one. But it's also pretty space efficient and easy to read, something we're all familiar with. And this brings us to the fifth best, not fifth best, but one of the good resume fonts called Verdana. And yeah, this one also a very clean cut, easy to read. Maybe not as space efficient as some of the other ones, but I've shown you examples of how to some of the how to write the education section on your resume. And if you're wondering how to do this, same thing, just like how I did with the work experience section, show you how and what to write in each line and on each of the bullet points, so your education looks very full and professional like this. So there's a video on that. And yeah, with Verdana, your work experience section will could look like this. So that brings us to some of the worst resume fonts. Let's see what there are. So Courier. You just kind of see how the spacing on this not as attractive as some of the other ones that I've demonstrated. It just seems to take up a lot more space, and the spacing between the letters and wording, letters and words are not as professional. Okay, same thing for work experience. We're portraying exact same information using the exact same font size, and it just takes up a lot more space, which gives you less opportunity and space to appeal some of your skills, knowledge, and experience. Here's one. Comic Sans. Yeah, this is a very round font, and it may be applicable for comic books, but for a resume, it's just not a very professional font. It's a little more space efficient than Courier, but it's harder to read when the letters and the sentences are so close together. And yeah, nobody's really laughing at this. And lastly, the Futura. Here's one. It may look clean cut. It's not super round and may actually also look more space efficient than the other ones. But one of the problems with this one, Futura, is the bold is really hard to tell from the regular letters, which makes it harder for you to emphasize some of the points. So yeah, those are some of the worst resume fonts. Anyways, so today we looked at some of the elements of good resume fonts, discussed 4 of them. And I also shared with you 5 best resume fonts using examples, and also shared with you 3 of some of the worst resume fonts. And if you're wondering about some help with your interview prep, I do have some videos about different interview questions, like the introduction question, the skill-based questions, and behavior questions, separate video for each of them. So feel free to go check those out as well. Well, I'm Professor Job Offer, and I'm here to help you land your next job offer. Thanks for watching.